Sakuta is a Sigma Chad wannabe who is actually a loser and pulls no hose. But everything changes when he encounters a wild naughty bunny girl who is invisible. However, Sakuta notices her, thinking she got lost all the way from the Playboy mansion, but also notices that no one can see her. He keeps staring at this weird chick, and it surprises her that he can actually see her. Sakuta tells her that he knows her as Mei, a senior at his high school, and a celebrity that any dudes would love to get a piece of. She warns him to forget everything he saw today and not get involved with her. The next day, Sakuta wakes up with his sister Kaide beside her, and she wants to share the good old Alabama love with her brother. He tells her to start sleeping in her own bed, and she thinks it's because he woke up with excited for his precious sister. Later, Sakuta rides a train with his buddy, Kunimi, to school and asks if he likes bunny girls, to which he responds he will gladly choke on their stockings. Sakuta asks him if he would glare at a random bunny girl in public, and Kunimi says that he will do it without blinking. They arrive at school and Mai is there with them. Sakuta asks Kunimi if he can see Mei, to which he says yes. Sakuta is curious about what kind of person she is, as she is always alone, and it pleases Kunimi that Sakuta is not just obsessed with his childhood friend, Shoko. Kunimi's girlfriend, Saki, shows up and pulls Kunimi away while giving a death stare to Sakuta. Sakuta finds out that the reason Mai is always lonely is because she missed a lot of classes due to his job as a celebrity, and it made it difficult for her to make friends. Then Saki confronts Sakuta, telling him to stop talking to Kunimi after she finds out about Sakuta's hospital incident. She tries to intimidate Sakuta, but he calmly roasts her for being insecure and always acting like she's on her period. After school, Sakuta sees Mai at the train station and some dude is trying to take a picture of her, but Sakuta blocks his way and calls him a creep. Mei thanks Sakuta for helping her, and they ride a train home together. Then, Sakuta talks about not forgetting the bunny outfit and using it as his night fun material, but Mai doesn't mind being a material for boys to use at night. Then, Mai is interested in rumors of where Sakuta hospitalized 3 students, causing him to not have friends, but Sakuta counters by saying he has 2 friends. Mai tells him to tell others if the rumors are wrong, but Sakuta doesn't care, as he feels it's pointless to even try when people spread rumors and twist it like it's the truth. Then, Sakuta asks her why she wore the costume the other day. Mai tells him that she has been famous since she was little, and while it was fun at the start, it slowly turned stressful when everyone knew who she was, so she wishes to go and live in a world where nobody knows her. One day, she went to the aquarium and saw that the anime gods had granted her wish, making no one able to see her. At first, she thought it was a fluke, but she went to a cafe, and everyone couldn't see her. Mai adds that people still see her in some places, so that's why she decided to go around wearing a bunny costume to see where else did people not see her. Afterward, Mai and Sakuta go to buy bread, but the cashier does not respond to Mai and only responds to Sakuta. It amazes Mai that Sakuta actually believes her cheesy nonsense, but Sakuta has experience with this kind of bullshit, and he calls it adolescent syndrome, a syndrome that has been rumored to go around. Then, they stop at Sakuta's apartment as Sakuta wants to show her something. He takes her to his room and starts taking his clothes off to show her a scar on his chest. Mai touches it, and Sakuta starts making happy noises. He explains that his scar is caused by the syndrome, and he adds another example, showing a picture of his wounded sister. He explains that Kaide was just bullied on the internet, never physically assaulted, and started getting wounds on her body out of nowhere. Sakuta woke up one day with a wound on his chest, sent to the hospital, and that became his hospitalization rumor. Suddenly, Kaide enters the room and starts tweaking, thinking Mai is a call girl. Sakuta calms her down and Mai introduces herself, making Kaide sad their brother has to share her love with other people. Sakuta thinks that Mei's case is the same as Kaide's, caused by adolescent syndrome. Sakuta advises Mei to go back to show business, as he thinks she deeply wants that, and it angers Mai for him to think that way. She leaves and she doesn't show up to school for days. Then, Sakuta starts searching for the reason why Mai left show business in the first place, but only sees some nonsense rumors. At his part-time job, Sakuta kept getting harassed by a female reporter named Fumika, who wanted to cover his hospital incident, but until now, Sakuta keeps refusing. At school, Sakuta vents to his second friend, Futaba, and asks her if it's possible for someone to turn invisible. She gives him a theory that something only really exists if someone observes it, making it invisible if no one observes it. Then, he realizes that Mai existed only when she was famous and in her current state. No one sees her, and she might disappear. Sakura panics and runs to his apartment, and Mai is waiting in front, starving as she can't buy anything with more people not being able to see her. The next day, Futaba shows Sakura the theory behind Mei's syndrome called Schrodinger's cat. She places a cat and a poison inside a box before closing it. She asks if the cat is dead or alive, and she answers that it's neither unless you open the box and observe the cat, meaning you only know something exists or happening if you observe them. A few weeks later, Sakura and Mai go grocery shopping like a couple. Mei explains that the carrot she's holding and other things will disappear when she touches them. Sakura sees his chance to use his loser ruse and asks her to make him disappear by holding his hand. Mai sees it as an invitation and holds his hand. She teases him for thinking dirty thoughts, but he doubles down and tells her every detail of his degeneracy. Mai shows her mature charms and goes to hold him even tighter. Afterward, Sakura is excited to see her apartment, but she refuses to let him in as she is still upset after Sakura tried to advise her to go back to being a celebrity. She tells him that he doesn't know why he quit in the first place, but Sakura reveals that he does know, and that Mai quit being a celebrity to get revenge on her mother after the old bitch forced Mai to a swimsuit photo shoot without her consent. Mai slaps him, and it triggers her to remember her past, feeling betrayed by her own mother, who practically used her own daughter for money. Sakura tells her that her bitter feelings should be the reason why she should go back to being a celebrity. Then Mai asks him where he got the information from, and Sakura explains that the reporter Fumika told him that she is also interested in adolescence syndrome. Mai asks him if he made a deal with Fumika, and he says yes, with the price of a picture of his scared chest. Matt calls him an idiot, as the paparazzi will be at the door, terrorizing him and Kaide. Then Matt calls Fumika directly and offers Fumika a deal. Matt tells her not to publish Sakura's manly chest photo, and in return, Fumika will get an exclusive interview with Mai, as she will be returning as a celebrity. Later, Mai admits what Sakura said was true, and that she does love acting and wants to continue being in the show business. Then they arrive at her apartment, which is next door to his, and she asks him to go hang out with her on the weekend. But she closes any chance for any glizzy gobbling, as she says it's not a date. She tells him not to be late or she will cancel it. Then, Sakura takes a bath and screams out in excitement for the date, and Kaide barges in acting worried when in reality, she just wants to peek at her brother. A week later, Sakura is on his way for the date when he sees a little girl crying in the park. He stops to help her find her stupid mom, but gets kicked by a girl who thinks he is a creep. Sakura explains the situation with the little kid supporting his statement, and the dumb bitch who kicked him apologizes. She tells Sakura to kick him back to get even, and Sakura kicks her cheeks, and the police pull up. After the police release them, Sakura rushes to meet Mai, and she is angry that he made him wait, but still continues the date. Then, Mai asks why he cares so much for a girl like her, and Sakura tells her that he refuses to turn a blind eye to Mei's issues, the same way people refuse to believe Kaide's adolescence syndrome, except for one woman. Sakura wants to be to Mei what that woman was to Sakura. Suddenly, Mai is pissed off hearing it's a woman and gets off the train, leaving the date. A few years ago, Sakura met a girl named Shoko on a beach, and she was the one who saved him from depression over Kaide's wounds. Sakura joins the same school Shoko goes to, but finds out that she never went there. Sakura admits he was in love with Shoko, and Matt gets jealous. Then Mei's mother shows up after Matt contacts her to meet up. Matt walks to her mother, but she walks to Sakura as Mei's own mother can't see her daughter. Sakura tries to tell this piece of trash mom that she has a daughter named Mei, but she doesn't remember. Sakura starts tweaking, promising to pump her another daughter if she can't remember, but Mei stops him and the mother walks away. Then, Sakura goes around to people, asking them if they remember Mai, but no one remembers. Sakura calls Fumika to ask her, but gets the same result. It upsets Mai seeing all this, and she wants to leave, but Sakura tells her to keep going and find someone who remembers. Mai is not convinced, so Sakura uses his ruse, telling her she still has him with her. The two of them go from train to train, trying to find someone who remembers Mei. Then Mai asks Sakura if he remembers her, and Sakura tells her every detail from her melons to her cheeks, to her adorable attitude, and even her social security number. He holds her hand, and at first, Mai rejects him but ends up folding. Later, they end up at a hotel, and Mai wants to take a bath. She tells him to not peek, but Sakuta tells Mei that the sound of water running down her curves is more than enough to make him bust. Then, Sakuta calls Kunimi, asking him about Mei, and Kunimi remembers. It shocks Sakuta, and he calls Futaba, where she tells him that people at school might be the only place where people remember Mei. Then, Sakuta and Mei go to buy some underwear and some protection just in case. Even under the circumstances they're facing, they enjoy this little trip of theirs, just the two of them. Sakuta promises to never forget her, or he will stick a pocky where the sun doesn't shine. Later at night, they both can't sleep and Mei suggests they should kiss. Sakuta sees it as an invitation to clap her cheeks, and it ruins his chance to take her first kiss. Before sleeping, Mei thanks Sakuta for not giving up on her. The next morning, Sakuta wakes up to the sight of the beautiful maid next to him, and he blames her that he can't sleep a wink. Then, they go back and more people can't see Mei. At school, Mei goes to check if her classmates remember, and Futaba tells Sakuta the bad news that more people don't remember Mei, including Kunimi. Suddenly, the girl from the other day, Koga, walks by and Sakuta asks her about Mei, but she and her friends just think he's a weirdo. Then, Futaba squeezes all of her brain power to come to the conclusion that people will forget about Mei if they sleep. Sakuta realizes that if he had fallen asleep the other night, he would also forget about Mei. After school, Sakuta goes to his part-time job, but his mind is somewhere else, thinking about Mei and the adolescence syndrome. Then, he goes to the store and buys energy drinks to stop himself from sleeping. He opens his journal and writes down everything that happened, just in case he forgets. The next morning, Sakuta wakes up looking like shit after not sleeping, and it gives Mei the ick. They walk to school together and Mei is still optimistic that maybe today, someone will see her. It's the first day of the exam and Sakuta is struggling to do them, being sleepy. Then he meets Futaba and realizes that she slept and forgot about Mei. At night, Sakuta continues to not sleep while trying to find a way. As the days go by, Sakuta's condition gets worse and Mei notices it. Later, Sakuta buys some energy drinks and Mei catches him. Mei tells him that she will help him study, but he will agree only if she wears the bunny costume. Mei encourages Sakuta that if he gets a perfect score, she will give him a reward. Sakuta asks her to lick his armpit, but she refuses, so instead, he asks for another date and she agrees. Then they start studying and Mei teaches him, using him as an example for studying. She points out the difference between security and guarantee in the Japanese alphabet. He starts teasing her during the study, and she whacks him with a book. A few hours pass, and Mei talks about her non-Alabama stepsister from a different mother who has smaller jugs than her, Nodoka. Suddenly, Sakuta falls asleep and Mei reveals that she put sleeping pills in his drink. Mei thanks him for trying so hard for her sake and she cries, saying her goodbyes, as she will now be all alone after Sakuta forgets about her in the morning. The next morning, Kaide wakes up Sakuta to stop him from being late. Sakuta gets up and a bunny costume drops from his bed, and Kaide thinks it's for her and starts tweaking. Then, Sakuta opens his journal and it tells him that he met a bunny girl named Mei a month ago, and Sakuta has to believe what the journal is saying. Sakuta refuses to believe the journal and goes to school. Kunimi tells Sakuta that he looks like he finally got some good sleep. Suddenly, Sakuta freaks out and feels that someone is staring at him. At school, Futaba gives Sakuta a letter, telling him about the concept of observation proving someone's existence, but they both don't know what it means. Futaba explains that she found the letter in her notebook, but she didn't remember writing it. The letter tells Sakuta that he needs to override people's ignorance of a person by creating a reason to make that person exist. Then the test starts and Sakuta is struggling with the difference between security and guarantee in the Japanese alphabet. Suddenly, he remembers someone teaching him, and his memories of Matt come flooding in, making him cry. He remembers the bunny girl that he fell in love with, and he quickly runs out of the classroom. Then he is determined to break the status quo and people's ignorance towards the person he loves the most. He wants everyone to stop forgetting about this older bunny girl that he loves, the same person who keeps teasing him but gets flustered when she gets teased back. Then, Sakuta runs to an open field, gathers his bravery, and screams out that he's in love with Mei. Everyone thinks it's a joke or a prank and chooses to ignore his screams. Seeing one time is not enough, Sakuta keeps screaming how much he loves Mei again and again, saying how much he wants to have her babies enrolled together. People start coming out of class to see this simp screaming and Mei pops up. Mei runs to him while everyone watches and slaps him in the face for forgetting about her. She refuses to forgive him and Sakuta holds Mai, refusing to let go. Mai steps on his foot, and he feels the pain while creaming himself a little bit. Sakuta looks Mai in the eyes and tells her that not only does he like her, but he also loves her very much. Mai asks him to tell her that again in a month as she feels carried away by the momentum, and Sakuta is willing to tell her every day. Then, after getting everyone's attention, Mai screams out that Sakuta's rumor about hospitalizing people is a lie. Sakuta is worried that they will get screamed at by the teacher, but Mai tells him that she will be there with him. A week later, everything goes back to normal and Sakuta's two friends, Kunimi and Futaba, call Sakuta both a Chad and a simp for being brave enough to go against the status quo. Weeks later, Kaide watches the morning news where Japan kicks Germans' ass in football. At school, Kunimi roasts Sakuta's yee-ass haircut and Futaba pops out. At lunch, Mai brings lunch for Sakuta, after he teased her for being a shit cook. They eat together and Sakuta asks Mai to be his girlfriend. Mai ignores him and tells Sakuta that she got tired of hearing him tell her he loves her. She changes the subject and tells Sakuta that she landed an acting job with a kissing scene in it. Sakuta starts tweaking and tells Mai to decline it as both her upper and lower lips belong to him. Mai thinks it's okay since Sakuta has kissed her before, but Sakuta doesn't remember it, disappointing Mai. Then, Mai asks him if he wants another kiss, to which he says yes without hesitation. Mai asks him to close his eyes, and she gets close to his face, only to prank him. Then, Mai calms him down, telling him that the kiss of the job is not her, and it's another actress. Sakuta feels sad after getting fooled and tells her that he might fall out of love. Mai starts tweaking, and Sakuta takes the chance to ask her to be his girlfriend. Mai blushes from ear to ear and agrees to be his girlfriend with a cute expression, making us loners giggle and shit. The next day, the news shows that Japan kicked Germans' ass in football and Kaide is watching. Sakuta notices something weird, but Kaide doesn't. Then, at school, Kunimi roasts Sakuta's yee-ass haircut and Futaba pops out, making Sakuta even more suspicious, but Kunimi tells him this is the first time they interacted like this. The day goes by, and Sakuta notices that everything that happens is the exact same thing as yesterday. At lunch, he eats with Mai again and asks her to be his girlfriend. Mai responds the same way as yesterday, so Sakuta cuts through the cutscene and gets straight to the ending by teasing Mai first, then asks her to be his girlfriend, to which Mai agrees. Later, Sakuta sees a guy harassing Koga, wanting to offer her a car warranty, but Sakuta walks away without care. The next day, it's the same with the day restarting, and Sakuta asks Futaba for advice. Futaba suspects it's adolescence syndrome and introduces the concept of Laplace demon, where a person can calculate the future by knowing every atom's location. They suspect that someone aside from Sakuta is the Laplace demon, and they keep restarting the day to change an outcome that they kept failing to change. Then, Sakuta is on the lookout for someone who acts differently than the other day and walks into a classroom to find Koga. Sakuta knows instantly that it's her and asks her how many times has she lived today. Koga is relieved that she is not the only one and has no idea what is happening. Sakuta asks if she has gone through anything agonizing recently and tells her that adolescence syndrome might be the cause, but Koga thinks adolescence syndrome is a scam by the feds to get her to take a feet picture and share it online. Suddenly, Koga pulls Sakuta under the table to hide from someone. They stay quiet while the guy is looking for Koga and the guy leaves. Then Koga explains that the guy's name is Misawa and Koga's friend, Rena, likes Misawa and wants to have his babies, but Misawa doesn't care about Rena and only wants to date for the fun of it, while Koga herself doesn't like him. Sakuta tells Koga to reject Misawa, but she refuses as she is scared that others might avoid her. Koga is too loud and Misawa walks in and sees them on top of each other while crying internally. Then Mai walks in and sees the same thing. Sakuta tries to explain, but Mai walks away, telling him she will bite off his berries. Sakuta is not worried as the day will be replayed, but the next day arrives and it doesn't replay, and Sakuta realizes that the anime gods screwed him over. Then, Sakuta and Futaba discuss the Laplace demon and conclude that it's Koga. Sakuta realizes Futaba is in a bad mood, and she explains that she feels like shit for having a crush on Kunimi, who already has a girlfriend. Futaba warns Sakuta that if Mai were to understand the misunderstanding between him and Koga, that Misawa can do the same, and the day will restart again with Misawa going after Koga again. Afterward, Koga joins Sakura and Kanemi at their part-time job as a new employee. Then, during his shift, Koga's meddling friends interrogate Sakura if he is doing cardio with Koga as her boyfriend, and Sakura feels there is a misunderstanding. Later, Koga asks Sakura to pretend to be his lover, but she refuses as he prefers Mei's medium is premium jugs over Koga's non-existent melons. Sakura tells Koga to worry more about adolescence syndrome, but she doesn't care and begs him to pretend dating her for a couple of months. Sakura warns her about dating him, but she feels he's now a Chad after screaming out his love for Mei in front of the whole school. Koga is ready to lie to the whole school as she fears that people will think she's a loser who can't get her feet rubbed by a wimp like Sakura, and her friends will leave her for it, turning her to a lonely Sigma who grow old owning 20 cats. She feels that being alone is embarrassing, and she reminds Sakura of Kaide. Then, Sakura agrees and Koga wastes no time asking Sakura to go on a date to show her friends that she's a pro at tickling a man's pickle. Later, Sakura takes a bath and starts tweaking, imagining clapping 4 cheeks, with both Mei and Koga involved. Then, Sakura sees Mei in a trash drink commercial, and the real Mei shows up at his apartment, demanding he explain what happened between him and Koga. Mei strips Sakura to his underwear, and he's on his knees while she sits on a chair, but she tells him that she understands the circumstances, but still carries suspicion that he's hiding something. Sakura tells Mei that Koga's situation reminded him of Kaide's, and he doesn't want Koga to face the same fate, being an outcast from her friends and all alone. Mei calls Koga a fake-ass trash Sigma, but she lets Sakura off and gives him a free pass to rub one out to Koga's thighs with the condition that Sakura has to take initiative and show his loyalty to Mei. Sakura wants to give her his pickle, but Mei kicks him to stop his degeneracy. Then he suggests a date, but she rejects the idea as she has work to do. She gives Sakura a bag with a dress in it, and he thinks it's for his night pump materials, but Mei explains that it's for Kaide to wear, with the hope that it will motivate her. Sakura opens the door, and Kaide is there listening in. He pulls Kaide in and gives her the dress to try. Then Kaide wears the dress, thanks Mei, and begs her to be her new sister-in-law. Later, Sakura thanks Mei for being kind to his sister, but Mei warns him to his zipper closed for Koga, as they belong to Mommy Mei. The next day, Sakura asks Kanemi about Meisawa, and Sakura finds out that Meisawa is a total douche who already has a girlfriend and only uses her for her body. It motivates Sakura to clap Koga's cheeks right in front of Meisawa to assert dominance. Then, Sakura meets up with Koga, and he praises how plump her legs are before their fake date. Koga asks for his phone number, but he doesn't have any as Chads don't need stupid phones to live. Then, Koga is sleepy after she spends the whole night talking to her friends, discussing which anime character has the best stepsister. She explains she did it so she doesn't get left out of her friend group, and Sakura thinks she's an idiot. Then, they go to an aquarium, taking a picture together where Sakura looks like he's on major shrooms and laughing at how penguins walk like they need to take a shit all the time. Later, Koga opens up about her past where she looked like the girl from Metamorphosis. Koga was relocated to Tokyo, and she started dolling herself up to make sure she fit in. And despite her liking the new her, she still feels that she is faking herself. Sakura uses his reas and assures Koga that the real her is whoever she invents herself to be and that she should embrace the new her. Suddenly, they see a girl looking lost on the beach and they help her. The girl, Yaniyama, lost her phone strap and Koga wants to help her look for it, but Yaniyama refuses as Koga is from a different friend group. They tell this stupid Harry Potter-looking chick to shut up, and they go look for her phone strap. Sakura uses Sharingan and finds it, and Koga hurries herself to grab it, getting wet in the process. The next day, Koga catches a cold and Sakura visits her. Sakura gives her some food and teases her with his immaculate rees. Koga asks him why he's willing to go with her cheesy requests, and he says it's because Koga has thick thighs that save lives. He advises her to rest at home, but Koga refuses as she feels the pressure of not being present among her friend group and worrying about how they will perceive her. Sakura preaches like a Sigma and says that being truly loved by one person is more than enough. A few days later, Koga gives Sakura peaches as a gift, and Sakura imagines it's her sweet peaches as he will devour them tonight. Later, Koga asks Sakura what happened with Mai, and Sakura reveals that they would have dated and made babies if it weren't for Koga's time loop. Koga asks if Mai has told him she loved him, and Sakura realizes she hasn't. At night, Matt calls to hear Sakaba's voice, and Sakuta is happy as now he can imagine Mei's lovely happy noises to fuel his night session. Mai asks him about his new mistress, Koga, and she gets jealous imagining another girl tickling his pickle. They talk about jobs, and Sakuta reveals that he wants to be Santa Claus who works once a year and breaks into houses to drink their milk. The next day, Kunimi visits Futaba, making her blush and stutter. Sakuta walks in, sees the situation and walks out, making Futaba panic. She starts tweaking, fearing that Kunimi will find out, but Sakuta is not worried as Kunimi is denser than a rock. Then they discuss why the days didn't get restarted anymore and conclude that it's because Koga is now satisfied with the current condition of her life. But Koga herself does not realize that. Then Kamisato confronts Sakuta again, telling him to get away from her baby daddy, Kunimi, but she is more jealous of Futaba with her cute glasses and 2 massive melons. Sakuta tells Kamisato to calm down and have a Snickers as she looks malnourished, and it pisses her off. The next day, Sakuta tells Kunimi what happened, and he promises to deal with it. Kunimi then asks Sakuta if his relationship with Koga is real, and Sakuta confirms it. Kunimi reveals that Maesawa has spread rumors about Koga opening her legs to every dude in school, and it pisses off Sakuta. Later, he asks her to share with him some of her plot armor from her 2 massive badonkadonks to give him a chance against the piece of trash, Maesawa. At night, Mai left him a message that she missed him smelling her funky-smelling armpit. Sakuta wants to call her back but stops out of guilt. The next day, Koga is walking alone behind her friends, and Sakuta finds her sitting alone, being an outcast after the rumors about her spread. Maesawa and his ugly friends show up, talking trash, but Sakuta calls him insecure for packing nothing underneath. Maesawa punches Sakuta, but Sakuta gets up and gets ready to throw hands. Sakuta starts floating like Prawn Ali and kicks his crusty-ass shin, making Maesawa his little dog. Sakuta kicks his face and tells him to wash his ugly face as it got shit from Sakuta's shoe. Everyone watches Sakuta's big moment, and Sakuta tells Maesawa to shut his mouth next time or he will cut his tongue off before taking Koga's hand and running away from the crime scene. After their grand escape, Koga folds after seeing Sakuta defend her like she's his real girlfriend. Sakuta just wants to keep his promise, treating her like she's his girlfriend. Koga gets a text from Rena, saying that she now has the it for Maesawa. Then Koga starts stuttering and reveals that she's a virgin, but Sakuta bursts out laughing as he never believed in the stupid rumors about her. Koga stops in her tracks and asks Sakuta how to pay him back for his actions, and he just wants her to be his friend after everything is over. Koga freezes, and she falls even harder for him. The next day, Sakuta meets Maesawa at the train station, but he ignores Mr. Poopy Face and enters the train where other students gossip about him. At school, Koga and her friends see Sakuta, smile at him, and giggle before leaving. Sakuta realizes that he's in too deep, and people won't believe it if he suddenly splits up with Koga. The next day, Matt is helping Sakuta study, but lacks the motivation to study as his dream now is to become Mei's sugar baby. Mei uses her intimidating aura, and Sakuta folds, revealing he wants to go to college. Matt has the same goal, wanting to join an Ivy League school, and she wants Sakuta to join her at the same university. But Sakuta feels less motivated as his grades are dog water. Suddenly, Mai wears her bunny girl outfit, and Sakuta is motivated in more ways than one, wanting to get Az on his test and give her the D while at it. He asks why she's kinder today, and Mag reveals that she creamed herself when she saw Sakuta, eated Maesawa's crispy shin, and defended Koga. Suddenly, Sakuta tells her she wants to lick her toes, and Mai pinches his cheek, saying she just got a pedicure. The next day, Sakuta goes out on a date with Koga, trying on swimsuits for girls with big jugs. But Sakuta tells Koga that she doesn't have the facility for that. Koga asks Sakuta about his relationship with Mai, and supports them, but Sakuta tells Koga that she's the reason he lost the chance to make Mai his lover. Then, they discuss how to break up in the future to end their fake relationship, and Koga creates a scenario where she will dump Sakuta after finding out he still hasn't moved on from Mei's pickle-tickling technique, making it a believable scenario for people to believe. Days later, Sakuta starts his day with Kaide waking him up, and people asking him about his plans for summer vacation, and he says he wants to eat, sleep, clap cheeks, repeat. Then the date arrives and Sakuta is excited to have his last date with Koga and end the fake relationship. At the beach, Koga arrives for their beach date, and Sakuta can't wait to see her flat features in a swimsuit. They start the date, and Sakuta goes straight to work, turning into Mr. Rizzler and calling Koga cute, which makes her start tweaking off her tiny rice cakes. They eat grilled corn, play in the water, make sand castles, and eat shaved ice, giving Koga the date of her life. Later, Koga thanks Sakuta for everything and says her goodbyes, putting an end to their short but sweet fake relationship. They part ways and Koga wishes Sakuta the best in his pursuit to Jingle Maze Jungle. The next day, Sakuta starts his day with Kaide waking him up, and he realizes that the day restarted. He goes to Koga to ask if the day looped for her too, but Koga tells him that it didn't happen to her, confusing Sakuta. Then, Sakuta goes to Futaba for advice, and she informs his puny brain of what happened. Futaba concludes that Koga has lied to him, as she wants to continue her relationship with Sakuta, all the way to the point where Sakuta will completely fall for her. Later, Sakuta goes on the same date with Koga again, eating corn, playing with water, making sand castles, and eating shaved ice before ending their date again. The next day arrives, and it's the same thing with corn, water, castle, and shaved ice. At the fourth restart, Sakuta fully realizes that Koga is lying and approaches the date differently, taking her away from the beach and going to a different town. They go sightseeing, eat snacks, and pray at a temple. Sakuta puts down a fake love wish and scares Koga that lying to the gods will decrease her melons even more. She writes her name on the wish and Sakuta hangs it to the gods, making Koga panic about her already small pepperonis. Koga asks him to go to the beach, but Sakuta refuses and demands Koga to stop lying. Koga tries to play dumb, but Sakuta calls out her bullshit and tells her that his feelings towards Mei's smooth legs will always be superior to Koga's chunky legs, even if Koga restarts a million times. Suddenly, it starts raining and Koga confesses how much she believed that she could change Sakuta's feelings by repeating their date. She tries to forget her feelings for him by restarting multiple times as Koga thought at first. She wanted to be a true friend who supports Sakuta's relationship with another girl. Suddenly, she starts crying as she can't understand why on every restart, her feelings for him grew instead of dying. It hurts her to think that she's a nuisance to Sakuta, and his relationship with Mai is deep down. Koga knows that Sakuta loves Mai and not her. Koga blames Sakuta for having the perfect rees and being the man that every girl would wish they had. Sakuta tells Koga to stop lying and reveal what she really feels. It shakes Koga's soul, and she reveals the truth, screaming that she loves him and putting an end to her lie. The next day, Japan has kicked Germany's ass again, and Sakuta realizes that Koga has restarted everything. At school, Sakuta asks Mai to be his girlfriend. Mai responds coldly, but Sakuta is not surprised and follows what he did before, ending with Mai blushing and agreeing to be his baby mama. Suddenly, Sakuta goes off script, asking Mai how she feels about him. Mai goes further and kisses Sakuta on the cheek, proving that she loves her. After taking the massive dub, Sakuta sees Koga with Meisawa, but this time, Koga has the guts to decline Meisawa's feelings, as she loves a certain idiot. Afterward, Sakuta asks Koga who is the idiot in question, and she tells him it's him, and he needs to take responsibility for making her friends hate her in the future. Sakuta tells her to not worry as he will be her friend, and it pleases Koga. Then, everything goes the same as before, with the big difference being that Koga is not his fake lover, but instead a real friend. While with Futaba, Sakuta notices Koga walking home alone, but then she gets new friends who will appreciate her for who she is. Futaba has a theory that Sakuta and Koga were connected when their atoms collided with each other. Sakuta tells Futaba about him kicking Koga on her cheeks, and Futaba demands that Sakuta show her his bare soft cheeks so she can experiment on them. Afterward, Sakuta walks home with Mai after a long time, officially a couple, and they walk past a mysterious girl who is sheltering a cat from the rain. Sakuta goes down with the cat and realizes that the mysterious girl is Shoko. Their meeting triggers Sakuta to dream about when they first met at the beach. Sakuta kept trying to push Shoko and her attempts to cheer him up away, but Shoko refused to give up and she introduced herself to him. Then Sakuta wakes up with Kaide beside him, and he tells her to knock it off or he will knock one out on her face. A few weeks passed since he met Shoko, but he realized that this Shoko is a different version of Shoko, one that didn't recognize Sakuta. Shoko comes around the apartment to visit the newly adopted cats, and Kaide starts getting jealous, thinking Sakuta replaced her with a new Alabama-loving little sister. Kaide demands Sakuta explain what Shoko is to him, but he doesn't know. He asks Shoko if she has an older sister with the hope that the Shoko he once loved exists, but she tells him no. Meanwhile, Futaba is selling her body pics online when Sakura calls her to meet up. It surprises Sakura to see Futaba without glasses, looking like an absolute snack that every man would love to eat. Sakura explains about the second Shoko, and Futaba thinks he's off the henny and delusional. Futaba thinks that there's nothing to worry about as it's not causing any harm, and Sakura agrees. They walk by a fireworks festival poster and talk about going there with Kunimi. Sakura suggests Futaba come going full commando to get Kunimi to start barking, while Sakura watches them from the bushes with his pants down, but she gets disgusted and walks away. Later, Sakura meets Kunimi at work and starts roasting his crusty-ass girlfriend. But Kunimi can't fight back as Sakura is dating the perfection that is Mei. Koko walks in wearing a yukata and Sakura praises her for looking cute despite her having a flat body equivalent to a cardboard box, and it pisses off Koko. Then, Mai shows up at his job, surprising him, and Sakura teases her for not being able to go a day without his Riz. Mai apologizes for being a bad girlfriend who works all the time like a single mom, but Sakura forgives her with the condition of something in return. Then they walk home together and Mai asks about the new Shoko, worrying that she will steal her man. They see Futaba entering a sketchy internet cafe and follow her in. They go look for her and Sakura calls her phone, trying to find out where she is, but then Futaba shows up without a phone in hand and runs away after getting found. Sakura catches her and Futaba tells them that adolescence syndrome did it again, but this time it duplicates Futaba, making two of them exist in the world. Futaba explains she was in the internet cafe as the other Futaba started living in her house. Sakura asks Mai if Futaba can stay at his house and Mai rejects his idea out of fear that Sakura will cheat and clap Futaba and her two love pillows, so Mai suggests she will stay with them too. Later, Kaide starts suspecting her brother to be a pimp for having a lot of girls around him. Sakura introduces the two girls to Kaide, and she offers her brother to sleep with her tonight, but he refuses for the sake of not making taboo babies. Later, Futaba takes a bath and Sakura refuses to leave her and her two floaties alone while asking her questions. It shocks Futaba that her Giga brain doesn't have an answer to this situation, and it scares her to imagine that the other Futaba will get her innocence taken by Kunimi instead of hers. They discuss the possibility of two Futabas existing and conclude that it should be impossible where both Futaba never meet each other, and Sakura has never seen both of them in the same room. Later at night, Sakura sleeps outside and Mag comes to lie down beside him. Mag starts whispering sweet whispers into his ears, giving him the nurse ASMR special treatment, but Sakura keeps worrying about Futaba, which spoils the mood. Mai wants to go on a date with him, but she knows that Sakura would rather investigate the other Futaba than play hide the pickle. Then, Matt plays with the idea that Sakura can kiss her as a reward, but he wonders which lips to kiss. Sakura reads the mood and goes for it, and Mai is ready to play tongue twister with her man, but they both headbutt each other, which ruins the mood and stops their kiss. Mai assures him there will be more chances in the future and tells Sakura to not screw it up. The next morning, they all enjoy Mei's cooking, and Sakura wishes she will become his wife in the future. The doorbell rings, and it's Shoko coming to visit the cats. Shoko walks in and notices how much of a stud Sakura is with all the chicks wanting to get on his lap. At school, Sakura goes to find the other Futaba, but she's not in the lab. Sakura finds Futaba creamy internally, watching Kunimi going full 93 Michael Jordan on other NPCs. Sakura asks her what she likes about Kunimi, and she tells him the story of when Kunimi gave her chocolate bread when she was starving, and it made her fold. Futaba explains that it wasn't the bread that made her fold, but it was the timing when Kunimi gave it to her, as she was going through a rough patch in her life. Then, Sakura tells Futaba about the other Futaba living in his house. Unlike the nerdy Futaba, who doesn't know why it's happening, the playful Futaba knows, but she refuses to reveal it. Meanwhile, nerdy Futaba is teaching Kaide and Shoko math when Mai receives a phone call from her agent. Mai reveals that she's at her boyfriend's house, and the agent starts tweaking. Then, Sakura talks with Kunimi, who is worried about Futaba's well-being, making Sakura think there's a chance for their ship to sail. Then, Sakura calls his home, and Mai answers, making Sakura's soul shiver, hearing her voice sounding like his future wife. Mai asks him to come home to talk about something important, but their call is cut short by Kemisato, who looks constipated all the time. She asks Sakura if he's friends with Futaba and reveals Futaba's dark secret, taking dirty pictures of herself and posting them on the internet like a thirsty ex-wife who just got a divorce, looking for a sugar baby. Sakura goes back home, and there he meets Futaba making curry. Later, Futaba takes a bath and Sakura bothers her with more questions while imagining how her jugs float on water. Sakura talks to her about her dirty photos account, and it gives Futaba an idea of why there are two of her. She reveals that she created the account just to interact normally, but she turned it into her place where she could get attention. Futaba confesses that she often notices dudes licking her body with their eyes, making her feel disgusted about her own body. But posting her pictures online gave her both the attention and approval she craved, but also a feeling of guilt, resulting in a contradiction. She suspects that the contradiction between guilt and pleasure is what caused for there to be two Futabas to exist. Futaba asks Sakura to help her get the other Futaba to stop posting and showing off her jugs to the world to see. Then, Sakura asks Mai what she wants to talk about, and Sakura starts tweaking when he finds out that Mai is not allowed to date or meet her boyfriend by her agency. After calming down, they both agree to fight for their relationship and to take a small retreat by not meeting each other for a while for Mai's show business career's sake. The next day, Sakura tells Futaba that he knows about her photos and praises her melons. Sakura tells her that she is here to spend time with her since Mai is not allowed to be with him, and it gives Futaba the ick. Futaba reveals her other photos and she explains that it's her form of hatred towards her own disgusting body, involving the two massive melons and her peaches. Futaba tells him to pick sides between her and the nerdy Futaba. Days later, Sakura tells Futaba that he can't decide. Suddenly, Kanemi pops up asking for a fan and Sakura plays matchmaker, telling Futaba to help him. A week later, Sakura is still bothering the naughty Futaba until she stops posting dirty pictures online. Futaba receives a message, and she freezes as the sender recognizes her uniform, asking her to meet up while threatening her with blackmail. Sakura takes her phone and threatens to call the police. It scares Futaba shitless to make her beg Sakura to delete her account. Later, Sakura walks Futaba home, and she asks Sakura to accompany her tonight, just in case her stalker pulls up. Sakura warns her that he will sniff her dirty laundry, but Futaba threatens to report him to Mai. Later, Futaba starts getting paranoid, calling for Sakura every second while taking a bath. Then, Futaba confesses that she always felt lonely in her life, with both parents having jobs and her being constantly alone. Everything changed when she met Sakura and Kanemi in school. She remembers their first meeting, telling Sakura that he's such a Chad for still going to school despite everyone avoiding him for the hospital case. Despite her insults, Sakura finds Futaba interesting, and they become friends ever since. Futaba is afraid to lose her friends after both Sakura and Kanemi manage to get themselves baby mamas. But Sakura tells Futaba that she thinks too lowly of them both. He calls Kanemi and tells him to meet up to prove to Futaba that she has great friends. Then Kanemi shows up, worrying that Sakura has done something to Futaba, and Futaba watches in awe, falling for Kanemi all over again. She starts crying, seeing how she's not alone in having great friends in Sakura and Kanemi. After calming down, Sakura shows them some fireworks so they can hang out together like having their very own fireworks festival. Then they go to the beach and light up the fireworks. They start giggling with each other, enjoying their youth, and showing the true power of friendship, which is able to get Futaba out of her slump. Futaba asks Kanemi why he didn't ask about what is happening, but he feels he doesn't need to after seeing her cry, as not all things need an explanation for someone to understand. Futaba folds to Kanemi's rees, and Kanemi doubles down his charms by asking them to spend more time with him, watching the upcoming fireworks festival. The next morning, Kanemi goes home and plotful Futaba tells Sakura to take care of nerdy Futaba, as she needs him more than the plotful Futaba. Sakura goes home and tells nerdy Futaba that the account has been deleted, but she sees her wallpaper of the dirty Futaba, hanging out with Kanemi and Sakura. The next day, Sakura wakes up with cats on his face, and he finds out from Kaide that Futaba has left, making Sakura go to dad mode. He tries to call her, but she leaves her phone behind, so Sakura goes to find her in the rain. He goes to her house, but naughty Futaba reveals that she is not there, nor they have become one person. Futaba has an idea of where she could go, and it turns out to be the school. Sakura walks in all wet with Futaba there, and asks her if she wants to watch fireworks with him and Kanemi. She rejects it as she feels like she's going to disappear, with the other Futaba being the one that stays and becomes the true Futaba. Futaba starts crying after remembering the picture, feeling that the other Futaba is the better person and friend to the boys. Sakuta calls her an idiot as her glasses give her more baddie points than the other Futaba and tells her to meet him at the station. Suddenly, Sakuta collapses and wakes up at the hospital with Mai beside him. He starts tweaking, wanting her to be a doctor and check below his waist. Then, Sakuta meets Futaba and tells her to stop thinking that she doesn't matter in other people's lives, as her existence is important to those around her. Futaba folds to Sakava's rees and agrees to join him and Kanemi to watch the fireworks together. Sakuta tells Futaba to tell that to someone more important, and Futaba calls her other self, telling her she wants to watch the fireworks. Suddenly, Futaba disappears from existence, and Sakuta picks up the phone and Futaba is back to one person. Afterward, the trio shows up to the fireworks show and they start teasing Futaba for looking like a baddie wearing glasses. They watch the fireworks together and Futaba tells Kanemi about her feelings, but she doesn't ask for a response as she knows that she has no chance. With tears in her eyes, Futaba smiles while watching the fireworks, knowing she has her friends beside her. Weeks later, Sakuta is getting depressed, missing Mei's touch while his cherry bombs need to bust, but Mai assures him that they will have more time together at the start of the school year. Sakuta starts looking for Mai, but she is nowhere to be found at school. Then, Sakuta finds Mai outside her apartment, but Mai doesn't recognize him and starts accusing Sakuta of being her sister's creepy one-night stand who can't move on. Suddenly, a blonde shrimp shows up and tells Sakuta that she is Mai while her sister, Nodoka, is in her body. She explains that she switched bodies with Nodoka, and it hurts Sakuta to see his precious Mai downgrading her jug size caused by adolescence syndrome. Then, they discuss inside Mei's apartment, and Nodoka starts panicking, believing it's a dream, but Mai tells her to suck it up and stop whining. Sakuta realizes that Nodoka is an idol, as well as Mei's little annoying sister. Mai explains that Nodoka came to her apartment, not wanting to go home, and their bodies swapped in the morning. None of them has a clue why it happened, and while Nodoka is going crazy about what's happening, Mai and Sakuta are as cool as ice dealing with the issue. Mai decides to start living as Nodoka and Nodoka as Mai until they find a way to go back to normal. The two of them start trading their schedules and discussing how to live normally with each other, and Sakuta gets the task of helping Nodoka live as Mai. The next morning, Sakuta wakes up with a cat's hairball in his mouth, and Kaide barges in, wishing she was the hair. Then they walk to school and Nodoka worries that Mei's friends will notice her as a fake. But Sakuta tells Nodoka that her sister is a loser who has no friends. Nodoka tells Mai that she is the same friendless loser as she is, making it easier for them to pretend to be each other. Then, Mai secretly tells Sakuta that she feels that she is the cause of all this. Mai adds that she was made a celebrity by her mother to spite her ex-husband and his new wife. Nodoka's mother, so Nodoka's mom did the same thing, making Nodoka an idol to compete with Mai. Later, Sakuta is worried that Nodoka is unable to ride trains as an idol, but Nodoka assures Sakuta that she is not some spoiled brat who has never ridden a train before. Then, Nodoka follows the instructions of how to be Mai, and it impresses Sakuta with how similar she is to Mai. Afterward, Sakuta meets up with Futaba, who has a theory that all adolescent syndromes are caused by an unstable mental state. Sakuta states that Nodoka's issue is that she feels inferior to Mai, and he doesn't know how to fix it. Later, Sakuta and Nodoka go to play at the beach, and Sakuta stares at her legs, wishing he could die an honorable death with those legs squeezing him dry, while Nodoka is confused about how this degenerate ape manages to bag her sister. Afterward, Sakuta starts antagonizing and roasting Nodoka for being a dishonest rat who ran away from home because she has issues with Mai and refuses to be honest like a spoiled baby. Nodoka tries to respond, but Sakuta shuts her trap by saying that Mai already knows the truth. Later, Nodoka asks to stay at Sakuta's house, and while she has trouble explaining to Mai, she tries her best and tells Mai that she hates her because she was always compared to her, and every time her achievement is below Mei's, her mother would discourage her more. Nodoka adds that during Mei's hiatus from showbiz, Nodoka's career rose, and now, Nodoka is frustrated to see Mai coming back to showbiz and dominating it like it's nothing while she has to struggle to get jobs in movie roles. Then, Mai reveals that she hates Nodoka back, but she blames it mostly on her sleazeball of a father who can't keep his zipper closed and makes two sisters from two different baby mamas who are raised to battle each other. Afterward, Mai stays at Sakura's place and Kaide is suspicious of how her dumb simpleton of a brother keeps getting new chicks to bring home. Sakura takes a long bath, and Mai asks him what took him so long. He tells her he was playing about how long can his submarine float while thinking of Mai, and it creeps her out. Mai notices his scar and Sakura begs her to touch it, so he can feel the sensation and make manly happy noises, but Mai refuses out of fear of tainting her sister's body. For weeks, the two sisters live each other's lives, working, practicing, and doing interviews like it's their own life from the get-go. During Shoko's visit, Sakura asks her again if she has a sister, but Shoko tells him that she doesn't have one. The next day, Nodoka takes pictures of herself as Mai and smiles like a degenerate to prepare for her photo shoot. Then, Sakura goes to work and meets Koga, who gets the ick when he talks about how soft Mei's twin pillows are. Hours later, Mai in Nodoka's body comes to visit and vents about how Nodoka's mother is such a controlling hag. Sakura informs Mai about Nodoka's progress, but Mai doesn't need it as she thinks Nodoka is a big girl capable by herself. Days later, Sakura walks past a film set and Nodoka is there as Mai, acting her cheeks off. She struggles to act, and after feeling the pressure, she gets a panic attack and collapses on set while Sakura witnesses the whole thing. Then, Sakura walks into Mai and informs her about what happened on set where Nodoka doesn't have the same juice as Mai, not being able to take the pressure. At school, Kanemi notices Sakura's long face and Sakura asks him how it feels to have an older sister that is better than him. Kanemi doesn't have the answer to that, but he calls Kamisato, who does have an older sister. Sakura asks Kamisato the same question, and she reveals that having a brilliant older sister and getting compared to her all the time is like getting a stick stuck in a place where the sun doesn't shine and there's no pleasure sensation from it. Later, Mai gives Sakura a spare key to her apartment and tells Sakura that it's not an invitation for some overnight cardio session, but she needs Sakura to talk some sense to her sister. Before Sakura goes, Mai tells him to not open her cabinets in the Japanese-style room. Then, Sakura enters the apartment and tells Nodoka that despite her collapsing, she did a good job, which makes Nodoka smile brightly. Sakura tells her that she should have smiled like that, unlike her fake smile, copying Mai. Sakura looks around the room, sees the mess, and realizes why he's there in the first place as Mei's personal slave. While Nodoka takes a bath, Sakura opens the forbidden cabinet Mai told him to avoid, hoping it's her secret stash of Sharknado DVDs. Instead, he finds a box, and what's inside it annoys Sakura, as it's not what he expected. Then, Sakura goes home and tells Mai that she should make up with Nodoka already. His answer annoys Mai, and she goes to sleep without giving him any love. Sometime later, Sakura watches a horror film with Nodoka and Nodoka starts screaming in fear. Sakura tells her to watch other films with Mai in them to really learn how to be like Mai. Sakura wants to go home, but Nodoka stops him, asking him to stay while she takes a bath, but Sakura refuses because she didn't invite him to bathe with her. Later, Kaide greets Sakura home while she's on the floor like a little worm, hiding something from him. Kaide steps out wearing her school uniform with the motivation to go back to school, and Sakura watches his little sister proudly, seeing how brave she is despite her trauma. Mai comes home and gives both Sakura and Nodoka a ticket to her idol show. Days later, Nodoka gets back on the film set, and this time, it's a walk in the park for her. Sakura takes Nodoka to the beach and praises her work, but Nodoka rejects his compliment as she feels she's still inferior to her sister. Nodoka gets a call from Mai and hands the phone to Sakura. Mai tells Sakura that she got a voicemail from his father, saying that he wants to meet him. Then, Sakura gives Nodoka the ticket to Mei's upcoming show, and it reminds Nodoka of when she first met Mai, feeling all giddy and seeing how amazing Mai is. Nodoka accepts that she can't be like Mai, and is now motivated to make her own name as a pop idol. She wants to be the group's main singer, with the hope that her mom will be proud of her. Later, Nodoka asks Sakura if he has any hard feelings for his family for making him the main caretaker of Kaide, leaving him alone. But Sakura says no because he understands their situation. Then inside Mei's body, Nodoka sees her mother and the old hag starts interrogating her. Asking where Nodoka is in here, Nodoka sees how protective her mother is for her. Days later, Sakura meets his father, and there's an air of awkwardness between them. Sakura tells his dad about how Kaide is slowly getting better and has the desire to go back to school, and it pleases the father. Sakuta asks him what it's like being a parent, but he tells him to be patient and reveals an embarrassing past where he once fell asleep while in the middle of changing Sakuta's poopy diapers. Weeks later, Sakuta and Nodoka go to Mei's idol concert. The idols start performing, giving Blackpink a run for their money while Nodoka watches intently. During intermission, the idols start joking around about how they are all performing while going commando while their sweat is going down to their sweet idol cheeks. Then they perform a second song titled Baby, which is infinitely better than whatever cheesy-ass song Justin Bieber was putting out. Nodoka watches them perform and is in awe of how Mei is performing. Then the idol group announces that Nodoka will get the chance to get her first single album. And while everyone is happy, Nodoka is upset. Later, Nodoka sees her own mother congratulating Mei inside her body, telling her how proud she is, and it makes Nodoka feel even worse, seeing how her own mother prefers Mei over her. Then Nodoka asks to go to the beach and starts running away to the sea, trying to drown herself. Sakuta stops her and she starts tweaking, feeling that she is not needed in this world. Sakuta tells her that Mei will be sad to know her sister got murked by the sea, but Nodoka refuses to believe him as she thinks Mei hates her, so Sakuta shows her the proof. Sakuta takes Nodoka back to the apartment and opens the box in the cabinet. Inside are all the letters Nodoka has written to Mei, and it's proof that Mei loves her. Nodoka reveals that she wrote these baby letters during a time when she didn't understand the concept of having different mothers. She thought she was just being a nuisance to Mei with her letters, as she realized she was not her real sister. Suddenly, Sakuta calls out Mei, and she pops up after hearing everything. Mei tells her side of the story of how Nodoka's letters gave her the bravery and motivation to keep grinding her job despite how difficult and tiring it is. Nodoka starts crying and Mei thanks her for being a great little sister. Nodoka starts screaming, asking why Mei can be better than her at being her, and it angers Mei to slap Sakuta as her outlet for anger. Mei tells him that Nodoka's face needs to stay perfect for the sake of all the male fans watching. Then, Mei reveals the truth about Nodoka's mom, how despite her cold demeanor, she was trembling in fear, worrying about whether Nodoka was happy in her life or not. Nodoka gets even more angry, screaming that all she wants is for her mother to smile and love her properly. Mei hugs her and Nodoka starts crying like a little brat, apologizing to her mother. Nodoka accepts the truth that she doesn't have to be like Mei, and they suddenly switch back, looking like a weird version of Freaky Friday. They start celebrating and Sakuta is happy that his baby mama is back to normal. The next day, Futaba and Sakuta conclude that the reason they switched is because Nodoka wanted to be like Mei, but at the same time, Mei was also a little jealous of Nodoka for having a mother who cared deep down. Afterward, Sakuta goes to Mei's apartment, ready to go ham on her sweet cheeks, but his plans are ruined as Nodoka will also start living there. Nodoka thanks him for saving her from drowning and tells Sakuta that she now understands why Mei folded to his rees. Mei walks out with bad news that their relationship has gone viral. Then, it's the biggest scandal of the century since the trial of O.J. Simpson, and the media start asking Mei about her boyfriend. Mei apologizes for the controversy affecting her film, but she starts glazing Sakuta and how he was the reason she went back to showbiz. Mei puts the media in their place, telling them to leave his hubby alone from the media's eye, and it inspires Kanata to do better herself. A month later, everything goes back to normal and Mei's happy that their relationship is not in danger. Sakuta starts glazing Mei from head to toe, left jug to right jug on how amazing she is as a girlfriend and how he is the luckiest man on the planet. Sakuta asks Mei if she feels the same and Mei tells him that she loves him more than he realizes. They go their separate ways, and Sakuta finds a letter from Shoko asking to meet up. He knows that it's the real Shoko who sent him the letter, the Shoko he fell in love with. Then, Sakuta shows the letter to Futaba and asks her how he should approach this situation. Futaba tells him to inform Mei first, but Sakuta doesn't know how. He feels that if Mei was in his shoes, he would feel cheated that Mei is meeting her childhood crush. Suddenly, Futaba reveals that she's been snitching on him to Mei through text and Mei pops up to scold Sakuta. Mei asks him to be back by 6 after meeting Shoko, and it confuses Sakuta why she's not jealous. Mei explains that she is also curious about the two Shokos and how she was the person who saved her boyfriend. Seeing how amazing Mei is, Sakuta gets up, runs to the window, and screams how much he loves Mei while embarrassing Mei. Then he goes to kiss her, but she rejects him and tells him to go kiss the grass. Afterward, one of Kaide's old friends, Kano, asks Sakura to talk privately. Sakura asks Mai to meet Shoko while he talks to Kano. Then Kano pours her heart out about how she feels guilty not being able to stop Kaide's bullying and informs Sakura that after Kaide stopped going to school, the bullies got what they deserved, getting bullied as well. Kano still feels guilty and asks if she can meet with Kaide to see how she's doing, but Sakura rejects her idea, worrying that it will make things worse. At the beach, Shoko doesn't show up and Sakura decides to go home with Mai, but not before leaving a message in the sand for Shoko, saying he's got himself better cheeks to clap now. At home, with full excitement, Kaide shows Sakura her goals for the year, with her having the motivation to get better. Sakura reads them and most of them are Kaide wanting to be Sakura's new taboo baby mama, but one of them says that she wants to go to school. Feeling touched, Sakura encourages Kaide to start small before going to school, and Sakura suggests seeing pandas, which excites her even more. At dinner, Matt went Gordon Ramsay with the food and Kaide is determined to learn how to cook like her. Suddenly, Shoko calls them and Sakura goes to answer. It turns out to be the younger Shoko, and Sakura asks her if she sent them a letter asking to meet, and Shoko says no. Then, Kaide asks Sakura if she can answer the next phone call from Shoko to fulfill one of her yearly goals. Might is impressed seeing Kaide's determination to get better and suggests practicing answering calls from her. Then, Matt calls and the ringing scares Kaide, but she gathers the courage and answers the call. Matt congratulates her for now having the bravery to answer calls, but Kaide collapses and gets a fever. Even in her condition, Kaide smiles her precious smile and tells them that she can't wait to go outside to see the pandas. Later, Sakura checks on Kaide sleeping and he sees that she has a bruise on her neck from out of nowhere. In a dream, Shoko gives Sakura some encouragement to become a kinder person, and Sakura wakes up from that dream with tears in his eyes and jizz. Days later, Kova asks Sakura if he's okay, and Sakura tries to reason his way out of her worry, but Koka knows that he's lying. She asks him to help her lift a beer tank, and Koka says some cheesy line which takes Sakura off guard. She explains that she says it every time to others and is now embarrassed knowing that made her sound like an old lady getting piped. Arriving home, Sakura sees Kaide answering a phone call from Mai. Sakura thanks Mai for being caring to his sister, and Mai snitches on Kaide, telling Sakura that his sister has a new announcement. Then, Kaide shows Sakura her step-by-step plan to prepare herself to go outside. Afterward, Kaide starts her plan by picking out cute clothes with Mai, and Sakura sees it as a step closer for Kaide to get better. After she gets her clothes, Kaide shows them to Sakura and asks to go outside. Sakura helps Kaide step by step from picking shoes and having his back used as a shield for Kaide. Sakura encourages her to be brave using his brotherly rees and tells her it's okay to give up. Kaide's voice starts trembling, and she refuses to give up out of fear that everything will stay like this forever, where she's unable to move forward. Then, Sakura opens the door, but Kaide refuses to open her eyes. Sakura takes another step outside and Kaide starts panicking, asking Sakura to stop, but Sakura lets her go, and Kaide opens her eyes to see that they are outside. Kaide realizes Sakura tricked her, and she falls on her knees crying, not out of anger or sadness, but because she's happy to be able to go outside. Sakura tears up and comforts his sister. Then, everything goes smoothly with Kaide slowly getting further and further outside to the point she can eat at May's place and even play at the park. A month later, Futaba roasts Sakura for being a siscon, but praises him for being a great brother. Later, Kaide rides a train with the others, and she refuses to let go of her brother out of fear of creeps. Sakura tells her to look outside, and she sees the sea in amazement after a long time not seeing them. Then, they enjoy a picnic on the beach, eating rice balls and goofing around. Suddenly, Kano shows up, but Kaide doesn't remember her old school friend. It hurts Kano, but Sakura explains that Kaide doesn't have her memories. A few years ago, Sakura walked into his sister Kaide, who suddenly started tweaking seeing Sakura, not remembering who he was or anything around her. The doctors concluded that Kaide had some sort of disorder caused by stress, where she lost awareness of being herself, lost her memories completely, and gave birth to a whole new person. Sakura concludes that Kaide herself severed a part of her memory where she was bullied by her friends to protect herself. At first, Sakura was hesitant to talk to Kaide, seeing how his sister is no longer there with how different the current Kaide is from the old Kaide. It drives Sakura insane living with a different person in his sister's body. Until one day he comes home to Kaide, with bruises on her body and his mother slowly losing her sanity, not being able to accept losing her daughter. One night, Sakura feels pain in his body, and a tiger-like scar forms on his chest. The doctor refused to believe Sakura's story, deeming it a lie, and accused Sakura of harming himself like some edgy teen. Then, Sakura snuck out to the beach, and there he met Shoko, who listened to his words and believed his story. From then on, Sakura kept meeting Shoko, slowly falling for her, and asked her why she believed his story. Shoko tells Sakura two valuable lessons, and that is 1. All different sizes of milky jugs are good jugs, and 2. That every person lives in their own different worlds, and the best thing anyone can do as a person is to be kind while living in their own world beside other people's worlds. Shoko lives every day, trying to be a kinder person from the day before, and it opens Sakura's eyes. Sakura cries, telling Shoko that he wants to be like her as a person who is kind and supportive of other people and the pain they endure. Then, Sakura gave Kaide a notebook in which she could write everything she felt. He accepts the current Kaide for who she is, and it makes her cry to see Sakura being understanding of her feelings. Then they split up with Sakura taking care of Kaide, while the father takes care of the mom, and the father tells Kaide that her parents will be waiting for her. For some time, Sakura still wants the old Kaide to return, but eventually, he starts worrying about what would happen to the new Kaide if the old one comes back. Sakura apologizes to Mai for hiding this information, and Mai is cool with it, but she wishes that Sakura would have told her sooner. The next day, Kaide wakes up, with her back arching, hoping that Sakura will make a woman out of her. But Sakura notices more bruises on her body. Later, Sakura finds out that Mai will be shooting a film far away, and Mai tells him to call her if anything bad happens. Sakura comes home to his sister trying on her school clothes and asking him to take her outside again. Kaide feels bad about not knowing who Kano is and realizes that Kano is someone the old Kaide is friends with. Kano left a book for Sakura to give to Kaide, which is a book Kano once borrowed from Kaide but never returned. Kaide opens the book and sees a note inside it, and the note makes Kaide remembers and collapses. Later, Kaide is brought to the hospital, and the doctors inform Sakura and his father that there is a chance that her memory will come back. Then Kaide wakes up and Sakura is relieved to see that Kaide has not changed. Sakura informs Mai about what is happening, and Kaide hears everything her brother is telling Mai. Later, Sakura tells Kaide that she can ask for anything to celebrate her release from the hospital. Sakura suggests seeing the pandas, but Kaide wants to go to school. Then, Sakura asks his father to help him grant Kaide's wish, and he agrees. The father asks Sakura to introduce him to his girlfriend, and Sakura agrees to do it later. The next day, Sakura finds out that Mai will be going away for weeks for her job and promises that he will use her picture to help him sleep every night. Nodoka asks Sakura if he's scared about the whole Kaide situation, and Sakura admits that as a big brother, it's his job to always look cool in front of his little sister, despite him being scared shitless when she's not looking. Then a school counselor named Tomobe comes to visit Kaide and gives her suggestions on where to start if she wants to visit the school, while encouraging her to be better. The next day, Kaide gathers her courage, and she goes to school while Sakura accompanies her. She sees some students laughing and it scares her, thinking they're laughing at her. After a few more steps, they decide to give up. Days later, they try again and Kaide is impatient. She feels it's not good enough, and Sakura sees her bruise spreading. He tries to make her give up, but she runs away, telling him that she has no time to take it slow, and Sakura realizes that she knows about the old Kaide coming back. Kaide gets scared seeing some schoolgirls, and her bruise starts spreading even more. She starts crying, asking why can't she go further. Sakura has enough and ensures she will go to school. Sakura takes Kaide on a trip to the train station and ends up at the zoo, shocking Kaide. She gets excited seeing the pandas and other animals, with Harambe smiling from heaven. Later, Sakura tells Kaide she can come back anytime and gives her an annual zoo pass, exciting her with the idea of seeing more animals at the zoo. At night, Kaide is able to buy some pudding, and they go through a different path, taking Kaide to school. Sakura climbs the gate and invites Kaide to peek inside. They walk around the halls, looking inside classrooms, and Kaide wishes the next time she's in the school will be in the daytime. Then they plan to celebrate completing Kaide's goals, But the next day, Kaide wakes up with a completely different voice actor, and Sakuta realizes that the old Kaide has come back. Mai tries to contact Sakuta after hearing Kaide went to school the other night, but he doesn't answer. Sakuta calls his father and explains to him that Kaide got her memories back and asks him to come to the hospital for Kaide. Then the doctor tells them that Kaide doesn't remember she has amnesia and she should stay at the hospital for further checking. Kaide starts speaking like how she used to, and it makes her father cry tears of joy. Sakuta gets out of the patient room and starts going berserk, running away, and crying desperately. He starts cursing, begging for the other Kaide to come back and go see the pandas with them. Suddenly, Sakuta starts bleeding from his chest and Shoko comes to his aid like a ghost out of nowhere. She takes Sakuta to his home and tries to calm him down, changing his clothes to check his wound. In a depressed state, he tells Shoko that he is useless, but Shoko tells him that he did his best with what he has. Shoko adds that Kaide loved him so much and she cherished every moment with her brother before she was gone. Then, Shoko pulls up Kaide's diary and starts reading about how Kaide felt isolated from everyone as they saw her as a stranger in the body of their daughter, but it was Sakuta who was there for her, letting her be Kaide. She wrote everything about how her brother started high school, got his first job, bought panda DVDs for her, and got himself a smoke show of a girlfriend. Kaide knew that deep down Sakuta regretted not being able to help her from getting bullied, and when she disappeared, he would regret it too, so that was why Kaide created her goals. She created it intending to achieve it with Sakuta beside her. She wanted him to not regret losing her in the end, after all the beautiful memories they spent together. Instead of tears, she wants her brother to smile whenever he thinks of her, and she begs for just a little more time for her to achieve that goal. After all the amazing things Kaide experienced, she thanks Sakuta for it, and she writes in her diary that she loves him then, now, and forever. Sakuta starts crying, but he refuses his own emotions and tears to not betray Kaide's wish to see him smile. The next day, he wakes up to a note from Shoko, telling him she's going home. Then, his stomach crumbles and he starts eating everything he can find while laughing like a maniac. Mai-san left a message, asking him to tell her if Kaide managed to get to school. Sakuta calls her and tells her everything and how Kaide is not able to remember anything from the past 2 years. Mai asks if Sakuta is okay and he fakes a smile, telling her he's all good. Later, Sakuta already starts bantering with his sister and asks her if she likes pandas. She says yes, and Sakuta asks her to see some pandas with him. She calls him a wimp who can't get any bitches for asking his own sister on a date, but he tells her that he already has a girlfriend, shocking Kanada. After a few days, the older Shoko never shows up again, and Sakuta wonders about her existence. Futaba has a theory that Sakuta joined Fight Club and Shoko is his Tyler Durden, but he refuses to believe it. Then, Matt comes to his apartment and Sakuta is ready to finally spread her legs and make her fly to Cloud 9. Mai sees Shoko's message and demands Sakuta to explain. He tries to explain that his pickle was always concealed between him and Shoko, but Mai is still upset and leaves. Sakuta chases her and sees her crying. He tries to comfort her, but she denies him and leaves. Then Sakuta is dead inside and his friends notice that he's out of it. Sakuta meets Nodoka, and she scolds him for being a headless buffoon whose brains are between his legs. She reveals that all Mai wanted was to cheer him up during his toughest time, and that her birthday is today. Sakuta gets his Chad face back in the game and goes to where Mai is shooting her film. He rides a train and runs like Forrest Gump to find her. Then, Mai sees him there and takes him with her to her car. She finds out that her boyfriend is a romantic idiot who didn't bring money to go back home, so she hooks him up and gets him a hotel with the staff. Sakuta tells her happy birthday and Mei's agent gives them 15 minutes for their date. They view the city and Sakuta uses his and shares his jacket with her. He apologizes for being a bad boyfriend who didn't appreciate her effort, but she also apologizes for not being there for him during his time of need. He tells her how happy he is that she's with him now as he wants to be there for her too. Then she asks him to close his eyes, signaling a kiss, but ends up getting pinched as his reward, awakening his inner pain-loving desires like a blonde crusader from another world. Afterward, Kaide thanks Sakuta and tells him she wants to go to school as she is not afraid anymore, knowing her brother is with her. If you watched this anime recap until the end, answer this question in the comments: does our pickle disappear when we clap the invisible bunny girl's cheeks? If you like anime recaps like this, watch this video.